Hi, my name is Sean Kimble from St. Louis, Missouri, here at Gaslight Studios, and I'm here to tell you a story. It's about a song called Sesame Street. I started writing the song back in 2010. It's been about a 10-year process to write. I actually just finished it a few days ago. When 2010 came around, I just left college. It was a really hard time in my life. I wasn't sure what to do. I was lost for a while. And I started writing this song and thinking about growing up and when times were simpler, where I wasn't feeling so lost. And I came upon Sesame Street, revisiting some old friends that might be able to give me some advice. It started with a melody, and from there I came up with some chords, but I think what really set off the song for me was this lyric right in the middle. It's, I'm just looking for a friend, someone to lift me off my feet, someone to tell me everything's all right. I'll just keep walking to Sesame Street. So that kind of started the whole process for me. Over the years, I kind of dove into other styles of music instead of singer-songwriter style. But I kept always trying to revisit this song, but never finding the right words to sum up how I feel. And because at that point, I started finding myself and finding a path. But I think with these troublesome times these days, I decided to revisit it, and the words came more naturally this time. Made me feel, it gave me comfort. It's like I'm hanging out with old friends like I used to, and they helped me out through different stages of my life, even 10 years later. I decided to write about Sesame Street because at that time in 2010, I was fresh 21. I didn't really know what to do with my life. At that point, I needed to look back on simpler times, and I remembered that I had old friends on Sesame Street. They taught me a lot about empathy, about how to deal with sadness, and how to turn it into joy. Visiting simpler times in my life and realizing that life doesn't have to be as complicated, that you can take a step back and just listen. I think Big Bird taught me that. He runs his mouth a lot, but he taught me a lot about how to show care and compassion for other people. And I think at that point in 2010 in my life, I needed that most of all. I needed somebody to care about me, to almost inspire me to care for myself. So Sesame Street seemed like an appropriate thing to write about, especially through those dark and devastating times. So essentially, because I've been working on this for about a decade. When I started writing it, I was in a pretty dark place. I needed to find something to hold on to that was simpler, that made me happy. But through the years, I kind of found my path. But with 2020, 10 years later, with everybody being quarantined, I decided to dig up all these old songs. And now, maybe you'll notice the second half of the song, you can see that it's from a happier place. That it seemed like naturally this songwriting process, you can see how it evolves. It almost plots out the points in my life in the last decade or so with every verse going on. Nowadays, I'm writing from a place of joy and happiness, but I wouldn't have been able to do that without revisiting these dark times and these dark lyrics that I struggled so hard with for 10 years. But the evolution, you can see that it's evolved into something else entirely. The character that kind of spoke to me the most and what inspired me to write this song that I kind of started with was the Cookie Monster. Back in the early 2010s, my depression definitely hit a low, but I also had an eating disorder where I binged on food, and that was the only comfort that I could find through my dark times and sadness. But I found that I could relate to the Cookie Monster. It seemed like he was a character that stood out to me, that I could relate to, that kind of reminded me that I shouldn't be so hard on myself. 2020 Sean, I think, relates most to Elmo. He shows compassion, positivity in anything and everything that he does, even in the worst of times. And now when I finish this song, it came from a happy place. It came from a place where I found what I was looking for, and I took control of my life. And through sadness, I found joy. And Elmo tends to do that. That's his whole MO. But it taught me a lot. It taught me how to stay and remain positive in even the worst of times, and to look at it from a new perspective, just like he would. So these days, Elmo is more relatable than Cookie Monster. My name's Sean Kimble, and this song's called Sesame Street. Took a stroll down to Sesame Street, talked with folks I used to know, Oscar the Grouch and Snuffleupagus, Bert and Ernie and Elmo. Took some advice from the Cookie Monster, helped Big Bird find some Big Bird seed, made some jokes with the old guys in the loge, helped the count to 3. I'm just looking for a friend, someone to lift me off my feet, someone to tell me everything's alright. So I just keep walking down Sesame Street. When I was just a young boy, Grover taught me empathy. He taught me sadness and profound joy. I learned it from growing up on Sesame Street. There is one thing they couldn't help me with, finding myself and what that means. I guess it's just for me to have to figure out. So I'll just keep walking down Sesame Street. I know I may be all grown up, but a friend's a friend at any age. I'm a wide-eyed child in this age so tough, but it don't hurt when I got Ernie and Bert, and they tell me everything's gonna be okay.